When talking about manifesting and goal setting, there's something that may make this process more difficult for you. And it's not just limiting beliefs and childhood programming, although those things, of course, can be part of the problem. Let's say you've done all the quote-unquote right things consistently, used positive affirmations to reprogram your mind and brain and shift energies, done shadow work, visualized and meditated on the feelings of having what you desire, made vision boards, journaled as if you're living your desired outcome, done inner child healing, performed manifesting rituals, and sought medical/mental aid if necessary. You've done it all, and at best, you're still only seeing a fraction of forward momentum. This may be a sign that a limiting vow is in play and keeping you stuck. What is a vow? A vow is a commitment, promise, or oath that a person makes either consciously and intentionally, or subconsciously, or has been forced upon them by threat, manipulation, guilt, shame, or obligation. A vow a person has taken can be from this life or a past life. Whether the vow was taken in the past of a person's current life or a past life, if there was no limit of time placed within the vow, it could affect the future of not only a person's current life, but also their future lives, until that vow has been consciously and intentionally ended, much like a contract. A vow can take root in our energy field, get written into our Akashic records, and can create a karmic loop that affects our future lives. A vow may be specifically worded as such, like wedding vows, where two people say to each other, quote, "I vow to love only you until death do us part," end quote. However, a vow can be a promise we make without actually using the words, quote, "I vow to," end quote. For example, when I was around 10 or 11 years old, I had a fantasy about being a, quote, "starving artist." In an Anne of Green Gables style romanticizing of what that life would look like, I made a mental determination that that was the life I wanted for myself. In that moment, I made a commitment to a life of poverty and struggle because in my child mind, the idea of it was beautiful. Much like how Anne Shirley romanticized what sleeping in a cherry tree would be like, without any practical thought of how uncomfortable, dangerous, or cold that would actually be. I had made up my mind that if you didn't come for me tonight, I'd go down the track to that big wild cherry tree at the bend, and climb up into it to stay all night. I wouldn't be a bit afraid, and it would be lovely to sleep in a wild cherry tree, all white with bloom in the moonshine, don't you think? You could imagine you were dwelling in marble halls, couldn't you? Although the childish romanticism of living off my art fell away over the years, the vow of poverty and struggle I'd made remained in play for nearly 3 decades, because I never officially dissolved the vow. Over the years, I tried money spells and many other manifestation techniques, using affirmations to reprogram my beliefs around money, healing my victim mentality around money, all with very little results. It wasn't until I recalled the vow I'd made all those years ago and dissolved it that I started to see results and a shift in my reality. The wording of vows may look like, "I will never forgive you," or "I will never forgive myself."
I forgive you, Dean.
Yeah, well, I don't.
I know. Kind of your move.
Or, "My spiritual faith mandates that I forgive you no matter what you've done. I'll do anything for you. It's my job to take care of you. I'll love you forever." Or, I'll never love you. I'll never let you go. I'll never be like you. I'll never trust another man, woman, etc. again. I'm done with love. Or, I need to feel loved.
We deserve to be loved. I deserve to be loved! I just want to be loved.
I refuse to live without you. I'm never having sex again. Or, I'm only ever going to have sex with one person. Or similarly, no sex before marriage. I never want to have kids. Or, I'm going to have a child no matter what it takes. This is who I always want to be. Or, I want to be like my hero. That's who I'm going to be. This is how I always want to live. Or, that's the life I'm going to live. Rich people are mean and selfish. I never want to be like that. I don't need or want anyone's help.
Can't even tell I was hit by a bus. That's how independent I am.
Or, I'll never be able to do this on my own. I never want to experience that. Or, I have to experience that.
I would never fall in love. I hope I never fall in love. I hope I never fall in love. I hope I never fall in love.
I can't wait to fall in love.
I'll always put your needs ahead of my own. I am forever dedicated to this person, or practice, or deity, political party, country, etc. I only want to live a life of service. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or the one. Okay, so that last one was a Star Trek quote, but it still works. These examples come from some of the most common vows I've come across, such as poverty, self-sacrifice or martyr, nurturing or codependency, responsibility for others. This can look like enabling, helicopter parenting, or controlling. Servitude, refusal to forgive, distrust, impotence, sexual activity, celibacy or refusal of romance, fertility or infertility, religious or spiritual paradigm, political paradigm, limit spiritual growth, refuse help and support, learn through adversity and suffering, and being bonded to another person or people. You may notice some crossover as well. For example, it's common for someone with a servitude vow to also be self-sacrificing and or martyr themselves, and they will often live in poverty.
If I'm so irresponsible, why do you come running to me every time you're in trouble?
Because you let me? Secret little baby you found on your doorstep. Another one for your menagerie of the needy. But you make everything about you by saying it's not about you because you're a martyr.
Saying or even thinking something such as the previous examples doesn't necessarily root in a vow. It's the intent and energy we put into a vow for it to take hold. When there's sincere, and often long-term, dedication. A vow can also gain power with repetition, especially when the intent and energy remain behind the words, or they're heightened. With that said, a vow can be dissolved when rescinded. Let's say, for example, that a person did something to you that really hurt you. In the moment, with passion and determination, you vow to never forgive that person. But after a couple of days, the person reaches out vulnerably and with a sincere apology. You feel your hurt and anger fall away and you genuinely forgive them, thus rescinding your vow. Now, let's say a person did something truly horrific to you, something you deemed was unforgivable. So you vowed to never forgive this person. You said it with passion and sincere dedication. You really meant it. It wouldn't matter what this person said or did after the fact. If they were imprisoned for what they did, or completely turned their life around and became a better person. Nothing was going to change how you felt about them. Now let's say you held on to that original passion and determination to never forgive this person over several years, and thought about it and spoke about it out loud, how you would never forgive them. This is how a vow roots deeper and deeper into your energy field, gets written into your Akashic records, and can create a karmic loop that affects your future lives. If you never forgave that person or rescinded your vow before you died, it can carry over into your next life, and so on, until the vow is rescinded, if it ever is. An example of what this can look like is, have you ever met someone or even just saw them and immediately distrusted and disliked them? Or they just rubbed you the wrong way for no discernible reason? They haven't even interacted with you directly, or if they did, it was a perfectly pleasant interaction on their part, but something inside you just bristles. This can be a veiled past life memory stored in your energy body, being felt intuitively. Because that vow is still in play, a karmic loop has been created, and you'll be drawn to that person, either directly or indirectly, each lifetime until the vow is rescinded and the loop is ended. So, intuition is one way to discern if a vow is in play, and what that vow is. Another way is to truth test. To do this, close your eyes, place your hands over your heart, take a deep breath to help calm and clear your mind, then ask, "Hey Truth, do I have a vow in play?" Then listen or feel for a yes or no response. If the answer is yes, then keep digging. "Hey Truth, what is the vow?" "Hey Truth, is this vow keeping me stuck?" "Hey Truth, is it in my highest good to rescind and destroy this vow?" I also find using divination tools such as tarot and oracle cards, pendulum and charms incredibly helpful, especially for getting in depth with the details and locating the vow's point of origin. Another method for obtaining details and the vow's point of origin is to enter your Akashic records via meditation or guided past life regression hypnotherapy. In my experience, it's important to know the exact point of origin of when the vow was made and the details around it in order to fully destroy and clear the vow and its effects on the person's current and future lives. However, I do recommend truth testing and using tools such as tarot or a pendulum to see if it's necessary case by case. The procedure for destroying and clearing a vow can have different elements depending on the vow. Using the refusal to forgive example, part of that procedure needs to include sincere forgiveness from the heart, as well as what my mentor and myself call the return to sender procedure. I return anything and everything that is yours back to you with consciousness attached, and I rescind anything and everything that is mine with consciousness attached. Or simply, return to sender with consciousness attached, when working with a specific energy. I like to finish it with either a snap of my fingers or by striking my singing bowl with its little wooden mallet. There are other times when I will bring my client or myself back into their previous physical vessel, or their body, to heal emotional wounds around the vow from the higher self. You might think of this as time traveling. In these cases, I guide them to become the observer, so there is a distance from reliving the trauma they experienced and felt at the time in order to do the healing work. This isn't intended to cut the person off from their feelings. It's simply to keep them from being triggered into reliving the trauma. You can't heal an emotional wound while simultaneously experiencing a full-blown panic attack. When it comes to destroying and clearing any vow, a clearing statement is always used as part of my procedure. This clearing statement in itself is a sort of vow, but in a helpful and liberating way, rather than limiting and binding. It's a vow to release the limiting energy that's keeping you stuck. The clearing statement I use is, anywhere and everywhere I've taken a vow of blank, I rescind, uncreate, delete, and destroy across all time, space, dimensions, and realities. Like with the return to sender, I like to finish with either a snap of my fingers or by striking my singing bowl with its wooden mallet. Lastly, I will enter the Akashic Records, calling forth the relevant records that contain the now rescinded vow before collapsing them as part of the destroying process. This is intended to destroy any residual limiting, binding, and harmful energy that the vow had on your previous lives, so that it can no longer affect your current and future lives, ending the karmic loop. Once the entire ritual is complete and the vow has been fully dissolved, I close it off by striking my singing bowl with its wooden mallet 3 times. So that's all I have for you in this one. I hope you found it helpful. If you'd like me to do more on this topic, let me know in the comments.